Welcome to my channel.
And this is English Podcast Station.
Today, we're jumping into something really practical. Asking for directions when you're in a totally new place.
Yeah, that's a big one. We're looking specifically at the IELTS podcast, asking for directions in a new city.
Right from the English Podcast Station.
Yeah.
James and Erica did that one. And it's really aimed at beginners, which is great.
Exactly. Imagine you've just landed in California, maybe LA, San Francisco, San Diego, somewhere exciting. You want to get out and see things, but whoops. Which way is the beach or the cool cafe?
We've all been there. That's slight panic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out the best bits from that podcast.
The real nuggets.
Yeah, the practical stuff that'll help you, our listener, feel more confident asking for and actually understanding directions in English, even if you're just starting out.
Okay, so where do we begin? Well, like with most things language related, it starts with the words themselves, vocabulary.
The building blocks. You can't ask for directions to the thingy-majig if you don't know the word for train station.
Exactly. So the podcast kicks off with some really basic street vocabulary. Well, street, just your average road in a town. Then avenue, that's often a bit wider, maybe has trees.
Okay, avenue.
And boulevard. Think bigger, usually busier, lots of cars.
Street, avenue, boulevard, different road types. What about where they meet?
Ah, right. That's an intersection where two roads cross.
An intersection.
And then the corner, where the two streets actually meet, like at the edge.
So it's on the corner, means right at that meeting point. Useful.
Super useful. And then, of course, the actual directions.
The action words.
Yeah. Left and right. Pretty straightforward opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Straight mean just keep going, no turns.
Go straight ahead. Got it.
And then words to describe location relative to other things, like across from.
So on the other side of the street.
Exactly. And next to, meaning beside it or, really close.
Left, right, straight. Across from, next to. Okay, those feel like the absolute core, don't they?
They really are. And then the podcast listed a bunch of common places you might actually be looking for.
Yeah, the destinations.
Right. Things like bus stop, train station.
Public transport hubs.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe you need a mall.
Here.
Or a supermarket.
Shopping.
Everyday stuff too. Bank, gas station, post office.
Right. Practical things.
And for relaxing, maybe a park or the beach, especially in California.
Definitely the beach. And crucially, hospital.
Yes, hospital is a key one. And the podcast reassures you you'll hear these words again and again, which helps them stick.
Okay, so we've got some words. Now, how do you actually, walk up to someone? Politeness must be important.
Hugely important. James and Erica really stress this. You're interrupting someone's day, asking for help, so being polite is just essential.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
What phrases did they recommend for sort of breaking the ice?
They give a few really good simple ones. The classic is, "Excuse me, can you help me?"
Nice and clear.
Or, "Excuse me, I'm looking for," and then you say the place, like, "I'm looking for the bank."
Okay. Also very direct.
And a slightly more informal one, but still polite, is, "Hi, do you know where the nearest coffee shop is?"
Hi, do you know where the nearest coffee shop is? Something like that.
Perfect. That's exactly the kind of example they used. Simple, polite, gets the job done.
And they also mentioned how to say it, didn't they? Not just the words.
Yes. Speak slowly
Yeah.
and clearly. Give the other person a chance to understand your English.
Good advice. Especially if you're a bit nervous.
Definitely. And they added a great tip. Smile. They pointed out, people in California tend to be quite friendly. A smile makes you seem approachable.
Yeah, it costs nothing and probably makes a big difference. Okay, so you've asked politely. Now you've got to understand the answer.
Right. The tricky part sometimes, you'll likely hear those direction words we talked about.
Go straight, turn left, turn right.
Exactly. Or things like, it's on the corner, or it's across the street. Maybe it's next to the gas station, using landmarks or nearby places.
Okay, those sound manageable. But what if?
Ah,
What if you just don't get it? They speak too fast or use words you don't know.
the $1 million question for learners. The podcast tackled this head on. It's okay to ask them to repeat.
Really? You don't feel rude.
Not at all if you do it politely. They recommended phrases like, can you please repeat that?
Okay.
Or, and maybe even better, I'm sorry, can you say that again more slowly?
Asking them to slow down. That's smart.
Yeah. And James and Erica really wanted to reassure listeners, it's fine. People usually understand you're learning. They'll likely be patient. Don't be afraid to ask.
That's good to hear. Take some pressure off. Did they have any tips for actually remembering the directions once you get them?
They did. Couple of really practical ones. One, try writing it down quickly. Just keywords, maybe?
Like left bank straight 2 blocks.
Exactly. Something like that. Or use your phone, jot notes in it, or even make a quick voice memo of them saying it.
Oh, recording it.
Yeah.
That's clever. Then you can replay it.
Yeah, especially if it's complicated.
Okay, great tips. What else helps make directions clearer? Landmarks, maybe?
Yes, landmarks were a big point. You know, those famous places or big, obvious buildings that everyone knows?
Easy to spot. Like the Hollywood sign in LA.
Perfect example. Or the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. They mentioned the zoo in San Diego, too.
So these famous spots act as anchors.
Exactly. They're great reference points. You can use them when asking, and people often use them when answering.
So how would you ask using a landmark?
You could say something like, is the Hollywood sign near here?
Oh,
Or, how do I get to the Golden Gate Bridge? Mentioning it gives context.
and they might reply, yeah, go straight past the big museum, then turn left. Using another landmark, maybe?
Precisely. It makes the directions much easier to follow sometimes.
Got it. Landmarks, good. What about getting around using buses or trains? Public transport.
Yeah, the podcast covered that too. Very important in many cities. They gave specific questions for this. Where is the nearest bus stop? That's a basic one. Or, how can I get to the train station?
Essential.
Also, depending on the city, is there a subway nearby?
Mm-hmm.
And then about timings or routes, what time does the next bus come? Or maybe which bus goes to the airport?
Really practical questions for anyone relying on public transport. Good to have those ready.
Definitely saves time and hassle.
Now, everyone uses phones these days, right? Maps, GPS. Did James and Erica talk about how that fits in?
They did. They acknowledged, yeah, technology is huge for navigation now, but it's not always perfect.
True. Sometimes the little blue dot is confusing.
Exactly. So they suggested you can still ask for help with your tech. Like, excuse me, can you help me read this map?
Showing them your phone.
Yeah. Or, I think I'm lost. Can you check this map with me? Or even, my GPS says go left, but does that seem right?
So, using people to double check the technology.
Right. And they made a good point sometimes. If you're really turned around, just asking a person directly can be quicker than wrestling with the app.
Yeah, I could see that. A quick which way to Main Street might be faster sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one last area, and it's important. Emergencies.
Mm.
Hopefully you never need it,
But you need to know how to ask for help if you do. The podcast stressed. Stay calm. Speak slowly and clearly, even if you're scared.
Easier said than done, maybe, but crucial. What kind of emergency questions did they suggest?
Things like, where is the nearest hospital? Urgently.
Yeah.
Or where can I find a police station?
Right.
A really key one. I need help. Can you call someone for me? asking them to make the call if you can't or don't know the number.
Vital phrases. And hopefully people are very willing to help in those situations.
The podcast seemed confident they would be. People generally step up in a real emergency.
That's reassuring. Well, okay, we've covered a lot drawing from that IELTS podcast episode.
Yeah, from the basic words
Streets, avenues.
to asking politely.
Excuse me.
Understanding the answers, asking for repeats.
Could you say that more slowly?
Using landmarks, asking about buses and trains, even using your phone map with help. And finally, emergency phrases.
It really built a solid toolkit for learners.
Definitely. The main goal, like James and Erica aim for, is building that confidence, knowing you can ask and you can understand, even if it takes a couple of tries.
So the big takeaway is prepare a little, be polite, don't be afraid to ask for clarification, and use the tools around you, landmarks, technology, and just friendly people.
Pretty much sums it up.
Okay, so here's something to think about as we finish up. Picture yourself right now, dropped into one of those California cities, LA, San Fran, San Diego. Choose one.
Yeah.
Now, think of one specific place you genuinely love to go see there. Maybe it's a famous site, a cool neighborhood, a particular restaurant. Got it. Right. Now, mentally run through it. How would you ask someone for directions to get there? Which polite phrases we talked about would you actually use in that moment? Just playing it out in your head can make it feel much less daunting when you actually do it for real.